Hey guys, welcome to the e-commerce paradise high ticket dropshipping podcast. I have a special guest on the show today. His name is Robert. He is a student of mine actually in the high ticket dropshipping masterclass. But he has been doing high ticket dropshipping for some time now, and he's scaled his store really big. So I'm super excited to talk to him and ask about his story and let him share hhis stories and wins with you guys and also some of his struggles. Welcome to the podcast, Robert.
Thanks, Trevor. Happy to be here.
Yeah, totally. So if you wanted to start it out, how did you get started with e-commerce in the first place?
So initially I got started with e-commerce. I started on eBay like most people do. eBay is the most forgiving platform, I would say. So I started out drop shipping actually on eBay using retailers. And I did that for, I would say about a year and a half. And I had a full-time job at the time. So all the money I made from that, I saved all of it. I didn't spend any of that money. And then I discovered Amazon, which the traffic is way better, probably 10 times plus better than eBay. And I used those same principles to drop ship on Amazon using retailers. And I got into outsourcing. And when I got into outsourcing, that's when I really got leverage. And I was able to really scale to the point where I felt comfortable leaving my job, which was about 4 years ago. So I did drop shipping full time. I've done a little bit of like some FBA, that's like retail arbitrage, going into stores and scanning, products to see if they're profitable on Amazon. I did some online arbitrage. I did private label, failed miserably at that. But I tried it. I still want to do that. That's still something else that's in the pipeline. And then I discovered, the high ticket drop shipping probably about, I guess it was maybe almost 2 years ago, maybe like a year and a half to 2 years ago, I think was when I knew about it, but I didn't actually get involved with it. And I just liked that it's high ticket. You can make good money with not as many transactions. So that was really appealing to me. And then having your own site as well, because when you sell on like Amazon and eBay, you're kind of playing in their sandbox. So there's a lot of rules with that. So I decided to go into the high ticket drop shipping with my own site. And it's actually much better. I like it a lot more. I still do the Amazon drop shipping, but the landscape over there is a lot different. And it's not quite as profitable as it once was. It used to be really, really profitable. But it's still profitable enough that I keep it around. And I have a team of VAs that kind of take care of that for me, so I don't really mess with it too much.
Gotcha. I'm curious, what did you do at your job before you started e-commerce?
I used to manage restaurants.
Oh, okay, cool.
For like 11 years and hated it the entire time. Yeah, I mean, when I first got into like eBay initially and drop shipping, I used to come home from work and I just smelled like greasy food and I stunk, and I used to walk right in the door, and I would have my laptop was on the kitchen table, and I wouldn't even take a shower, take off my work clothes. I'd just walk in the door and go right to the kitchen table and start listing products. And I did that for like a year. I did it almost every day. Probably, put in I was working like 50 hours a week plus, and then I do that like 3 hours a night, 3 or 4, sometimes more. So I was kind of like got in a groove of it. And that was kind of like my why. I think that's important for people to know if they want to like eventually take a leap of faith and leave their job, or if they want to be successful with any e-commerce venture. I think you have to have a why you want to do it. And that was my why. I hated my career path, and I thought I was pigeonholed in that industry and I wasn't going to get out of it.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people end up quitting. This is just hate their job, want to escape the rat race, do their own thing, work remotely, be location independent.
Yeah.
That's great that you're able to achieve that. And that's a huge achievement. I think a lot of people, they really want that. And in my opinion, I think most of what holds us back from doing it is just our own beliefs and our own kind of insecurities about whether or not we're actually going to be able to be successful doing it, or whether we should just stick with what we know and what's safe.
Yeah, I think, I mean, a lot of it really is mindset. And, another thing that helped me was just getting into self-development. and like motivational speaking and things like that. I know you're into some of that stuff too, Trevor, but a lot of entrepreneurs are. And I mean, I personally I need it because I mean, just day-to-day life. I mean, most people are just negative. They're just naturally negative, and they don't even realize that they're negative. So that's something that I need. I listen to like podcasts or like YouTube videos almost every day, and then also just having like a network of people that are kind of on the same page as you. You know, keep in contact with them because that kind of keeps you grounded too. It's easy to kind of go off in the deep end and let those thoughts overtake you.
Yeah, true. I think one of the most impactful things that ever happened to me was number one, when I was able to become a part of mastermind groups and like work with other entrepreneurs side by side and sort of get like their stories and their takes on things and stuff like that. That really helped a lot. And then two was finding a really good mentor, somebody who like knew the path, already had been there, done that, been successful, and was able to help me. Those things totally changed my life. And
and I think also having like a mastermind, I think the reality is it's kind of hard to bring it every day. Like these days you just don't feel like it. You get unmotivated, kind of get like funks. But when you're in a mastermind like that, like someone else might be motivated and inspired, and they're just working on whatever it is, and they're telling you about it, and you feed off of that energy. And like vice versa, like they might be in a funk or they're not feeling it, and then you're like you're really motivated, you're working on something, and they feed off of that. So you help each other more than you even realize. You know what I mean? Just being around those people and talking to them.
Yep, 100%. So let's talk about how you got started with your high ticket dropshipping store. Now, how did you go about like choosing your niche and doing the market research and stuff like that? How long did that take you? And what was it that you finally decided? Was it something that you saw that was really profitable and had a good opportunity, or was it something you were maybe more passionate about, or it just fit you better as like a personal decision? What was it that made you choose the niche that you got into?
I wouldn't say that I was passionate about it. I would say that I made a list of different product or different niches, and I narrowed it down to a few that seemed good to me, and one of them just kind of stuck out as because it had a lot of search volume, and at the time it didn't have a lot of competitors, but there's more and more competitors coming in the space. But I still think it's a pretty good niche to get into. So that's pretty much how that came about for me.
Cool. Yeah. So you saw a lot of volume with fewer competitors, and so obviously, and the products were high priced, so they're profitable. That's good. Definitely. I think those are like the main things. Were there a lot of suppliers as well? Did you see that there were like plenty of suppliers, or was it limited? Or
yeah, there's a good bit of suppliers. Okay. I would say there's definitely about in the market or the niche that I'm in, there's probably about 4 that are pretty hard to get. They're going to tell you no, and you have to really be persistent with trying to get them. And I think it's like we were talking about this before this interview, but you have to be persistent, but in a respectful way. You don't want to be like annoying. And if they say, oh, we're going to reevaluate it in 2 months, well, put that on your calendar and come back to them in 2 months and say, hey, I just want to follow back up again. That's kind of what you have to do if you want to get those kind of suppliers.
Did you end up being able to get any of those suppliers in the long run? That's hard to get.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty much all the major ones, I would say, in my niche. There might be a couple, but I think I've gotten majority of them.
What were some of like the things that you did that you were able to land those accounts eventually? You mentioned having to follow up a bunch of times. Was there anything like unique that you did that maybe other e-commerce store owners weren't doing that actually landed you that account?
So one of them, one of the most recent ones I got is the supplier is probably one of the biggest ones in the space in the industry, and I had been trying to get them for probably like a year, I would say, and they were just always say no. And their corporate headquarters is kind of close to me. It's a several hours drive, so I convinced them to meet with me. So I drove up and met with them, and we had dinner. And at the end I wasn't sure. I felt like it was going pretty well the whole time. And but I wasn't quite sure what they were going to say. And then at the end, it was like the senior director. I can't remember what her position was, but it's pretty high up in the company. And at the end of our dinner, and she was like, "Yeah, we'll give you a chance and see how it goes," and, which that's been pretty important. That having that brand has been pretty important.
Yeah, I think that's a really amazing thing, is to actually go and meet with the supplier and have dinner with them. It's something that a lot of the e-commerce entrepreneurs that are new to the space, I don't think they really grasp how that works. But that's how like the wholesale and retail industry work usually. Is like usually these manufacturers work with big distributors which sell to retailers, and the retailers sell to the consumers. But without the distributors in place, basically we're the go-tos. So like you have to like actually establish real relationships with them, and that means phone calls, lots of emails, and also maybe having to meet up in person. I think that's really cool that you actually went out of your way and did
I think also, I mean, you have to bring like a skill set, I guess, and they have to recognize that, but they have to like you. I think it is about building relationships. You can't be like an annoying person, like I think it's important that they like your personality, because it is about relationships too.
Yeah. 100%. Cool. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about like when you first launched your store. How many suppliers did you have on board, and what was it like when you first launched it? How well did you do?
I would say when I first launched, I maybe had, I would say 6 to 8 suppliers, something like that. Sure. When I first started, I ran the ads myself, and I had kind of like a general understanding of how to run the ads, but I wasn't doing like the inverted funnel that you teach. So I did make a few sales, but nothing like earth shattering. But then when I got the inverted funnel and I set that up, that's when things got much better. So that definitely helps. And then also, I know as far as like, if you want to maintain good growth, you have to, one of the easiest things to do is to keep getting suppliers. Just consistently try to work on getting suppliers. I mean, that's one of the easier things to do, I think, to help grow, because it's kind of like you're going fishing and you have a bunch of hooks in the water. The more hooks in the water, the more likely you're going to catch fish. So that's kind of, I think, the same thing with like getting all the suppliers.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like every single product listing you put on your website, like a little salesman, and you're putting little salesmen out there selling your products across the web.
Yeah, definitely.
You have, the more products you sell.
Yeah, it's just like, it's that easy. It really is.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were able to take like your experience with all the eBay and Amazon dropshipping and start applying it to your own store, which you have on Shopify, right? That's what you're using?
Yes.
How do you like Shopify compared to like listing products on eBay and Amazon? Is it easier? Is it just different? How would you compare it?
I would say it's more difficult, but comparatively to other platforms you can use, it's one of the more user-friendly ones. And I think for people that are starting out, I think there's a lot of people that are like me, and despite like being like a e-commerce entrepreneur for several years, I'm really not that computer savvy. People think that I am, but I'm really not. So as far as like building like a demo store, that was like not like an easy thing for me to do, even though it might be easy for some people, but you just kind of have to figure it out. Like I've seen people in some Facebook groups like struggle with that, and I think the key is to just you don't sit down and do it all in one day. Just kind of do it incrementally. Just sit down for like an hour or two each day and just chip away at it, and eventually you'll get it done. So I think it is kind of like a daunting thing, but it's not as bad once you get into it. And this is coming from somebody that's really not that savvy with that kind of stuff too. I'm a little better than I used to be, but really not that great overall, I would say.
So it sounds to me like you're basically doing a lot of the work yourself. So you're calling suppliers, you're getting those accounts, you're filling the dealer agreements out yourself, you're adding products to the store, you're running the ads. Does that sound right? You're doing most of the work yourself here?
Yeah. I have one VA that so she doesn't, all she does is she'll list products for me, And I don't use I don't do like a bulk upload like some people do, like with an Excel file. I list products individually, product by product. And me personally, I think that's better to do it that way, because all suppliers give you different information. So she's Filipino, so she speaks broken English, but she understands my directions. So she'll list the product and then she'll make it unlisted, so it's not live on the website. And then I'll come in and I'll just make some tweaks and edit it to where I feel like it's good product listing, and then make it live. But she does all the heavy lifting for me, so I just do a few edits, and then make it live.
Cool. Yeah, I think at least having somebody do like the annoying data entry work and then going through and editing the rest of it, kind of enhancing it with your own like personal touch, is a really good way to do it.
Yeah, or like sometimes I might have, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of something else. Maybe something specific, like I didn't, on all my listings, maybe I had like an H3 tag somewhere and I want it to be an H2 on all those listings. So that's a really mundane kind of task. So I have her do that, like go into all these and make them all H2 tags. So stuff like that. That makes a difference, you know. It makes a difference, like that kind of stuff. But you don't want to do it, so you hire someone else to do it for you.
Yeah, I think honestly, like as business owners, we need to consider that our time is very valuable, and if something can be outsourced for like $3 an hour or whatever or less, then obviously we should hire somebody to do it for us so we can focus on the bigger picture things like getting bigger accounts and planning things out and stuff like that. And it's important. So
definitely.
Cool. Yeah. Outsourcing has been a big thing for me too. We've been building a team, and it's been a journey trying to figure out how to manage people to actually get them to train them properly and to get them to do work done. But it's been a game changer for sure. Like not having to do the actual mundane tasks ourselves, and even just having a team of VAs do everything for us is pretty crazy. But
yeah. I think, I mean, that's another thing I need help with, customer service. And we were talking about that too before this call, but it's just, I know it's what I need to do. I've known this for some time, but I'm just a control freak about that. And it's just how I am with it. And I feel like I do a good job, but obviously I can't grow if I want to really grow, I can't do it myself. And I know that, so it's coming eventually.
That's the entrepreneur's dilemma. When I had my bicycle website, it was the same thing for me. I was doing all the customer service myself, processing like 10 orders a day. And we were making, like $10,000 a month net profit. And I was just like freaking out, like, God, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. But at the same time, I realized, geez, I'm working like 8-10 hour days, just like going through doing sales calls, customer service, fulfillment, all this stuff, and then trying to update the website. It was hectic that summer. And I finally kind of like realized that even though it might take more work up front, like for a little while, at least in the long run, it'll save me the effort or allow me to scale in other ways. So, outsourcing is key, but I think you're right. Like you need to do it right still. So doing it slowly is important. And just the fact that your target market so well, I think that's really cool. I think you're doing by serving really well.
I think there's a lot of people get into like the outsourcing. Oops. Knock my earpiece out. I think a lot of people get into outsourcing and they get too comfortable, like thinking like, oh, everything is just automated and I don't even have to do anything. And I think that's when stuff really backfires. Like you can have things 100% automated as much as you think, but it's never going to be 100% automated. You still have to be in the trenches with them a little bit. I don't think I'll ever be able to be like fully just step away from the store,
Yeah. So it sounds like you're doing pretty well in your store. So your store is pretty much providing you a full-time income right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have that in Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. So what was you talked a little bit about it earlier, but what was the main tipping point that got you from your store from like part-time to full-time income? Was it just the ads, or was it a combination of things, like ads and getting more suppliers, adding more products? Were there other key points there as well?
I would say taking your course helped a lot. So plug there, but I mean, it really did help. I felt like I've taken a few different courses in this high ticket space, and I would say yours is just easier to understand for like the average person. Like you kind of dumb it down for people like me. But yeah, like I just felt like I put in like you have your email flows, like the thank you series, and like little things like that really make a big difference, because people do I think a lot of people, if you started this, you probably experienced this, but people might buy something from you and it's a high ticket item, and then a lot of people do get buyer's remorse. But if you follow up with that thank you series, it kind of reassures them like, hey, we're a legit company, and just kind of give them the story about your site, and just send follow up emails, just thanking them, and kind of their expectations, like things like that. Definitely make a difference. I mean, they're not going to really necessarily make you money, but it helps with that after sales support too. So little things like that. And like, I would say another thing that helped was, and I know you're big on this too, but rewriting product descriptions, because most people copy and paste exactly what the manufacturer or the wholesaler or supplier has. And that's fine to start out, but once you start getting an idea of the products that are getting clicked on, I would say it's pretty important to rewrite those product descriptions, because you stand out from your competitors if you do a good job with that. So that has been helpful for me too.
That's awesome. So, like, let's talk a little bit about scaling now. So you've gotten to that point where you're scaling, you're getting bigger, you're trying to expand and stuff like that. Some entrepreneurs kind of go the route of like, instead of just scaling their store, they try to open a bunch of stores. Have you gone that route, or are you just kind of more focusing on your one store? What's your like long-term plan, your scaling plan right now?
So I was started another store, but this current store is just, I felt like I shouldn't be neglecting it, and I don't know. I mean, if you like, some people I think can handle that. If you have a good system in place with like a team of VAs, like I know that you have multiple stores, like someone like you maybe. But for me personally, like I just felt like I just want to stick with what works and what I know, and yeah, like I think there's a lot of potential with my store. It could get pretty big if I wanted to, but I know it's going to take work. So if I wanted to get to the level that I want to get to, I don't think I should be distracted with like other stores right now. That might change in the future, but right now I feel like that's what I want to do.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's smart. Honestly, like the more you spread yourself thin, the less you're ever going to focus on one big thing. And if you have one big thing happening already, you're right. It is kind of a bad thing to neglect it and try to build something else from scratch, in a different niche. You got something good going on right now. I think it's really, really good idea to scale it, slowly and keep growing that one thing. I think you're doing a smart thing. So that's awesome. So, Robert, do you have any tips for like absolute beginners, people that are just starting out with high ticket drop shipping or with drop shipping in general and don't really know where to get started? Some tips for them?
Yeah, I guess like a couple things that kind of come off the top of my head, and this might be why it's hard for me to give up the customer service is, and it's something that this doesn't get talked about a lot. I think it is customer service. You need to do a good job with that, and you need to make people feel comfortable about what they're doing, who they're doing business with. Another thing that helps is like if someone calls and you can't answer the phone, and they leave a message, obviously call them back. But there are plenty of people that call and don't leave a message. Call those people back too. Call anyone back that calls you, even if they don't leave a message, and that makes a difference. I've definitely made sales from people that never left a message. Some people just don't like leaving voicemails, I guess. I don't know. So I think that's pretty key. Just following up. Having a mentor or like a mastermind group is critical too. It's important to be around people that are doing the same thing that you're doing, so you can bounce ideas off each other, and just a mentor, like someone that has done it and has had results. It's just have that person to come to for questions and help. So those are a couple things, I guess, and those are two things that kind of stand out in my mind.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like those are two things that got you to where you're at now. So that's really good tips. I hope you guys really got that. Those two tips. I think is right. Customer service is key. Building trust is key when you're making sales online. Thank you so much, Robert, for being on the podcast and offering your advice and wisdom and experiences to the community. And yeah, best of luck with your store.
Thanks a lot, Trevor.